We just had a cash buyer try to renegotiate price on one of our wholesale deals the day before closing and threatened to not close if we didn't lower the price. Now clearly he didn't know who he was messing with. We told him to pound sand and ended up keeping his $3,000 earnest money, and we immediately resold the property to a backup cash buyer the very next day. Now the only way this worked was because we did all the right things, especially the right paperwork. On this video, I'm going to show you how to prevent buyers from screwing you and how to protect yourself if they try. I'll even give you the exact paperwork we use. Coming up.
For a limited time, you can get a free copy of Jerry Norton's Wholesaler Contract Pack with all the contracts you need to flip houses without risk. Claim your free copy at wholesalercontracts.com.
Hey, it's Jerry Norton, and just like there are unethical wholesalers, there are also unethical cash buyers. Now, if what I'm about to share hasn't happened to you yet, consider yourself lucky, and it's only a matter of time before it does. So make sure you're ready. Believe it or not, some cash buyers will contract to buy a wholesale deal, then right before closing, he'll threaten to not close unless the wholesaler is willing to accept a lower price. Now this puts the wholesaler in a very precarious position because if he doesn't perform and close, he jeopardizes losing the deal and harming the seller. So to save face with the seller and to salvage the deal, wholesalers in that situation will often bend to the hostage demands of the cash buyer and lower the price. And like I said, this literally just happened to me and my business partner, Mark Gabriel, on a wholesale deal in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now let me explain what happened and how we protected ourselves so you can do the same. Now, I wasn't going to say his name, but he actually left a negative review on our site to try to discredit us. So it's game on, baby. His name is David Comstock, and his entity on this transaction was Cloud Investment Group. By the way, his Facebook page says he's done 500 deals, which I find hard to believe. During our dispo process, this buyer, David, was the highest offer, so we accepted it and signed with him. In the assignment paperwork with us and in all of our communications, we made it clear and he agreed that this was as is, no inspection, and that he was willingly contracting sight unseen, meaning he is buying without seeing the property. Now our assignment and communication was all clear that his earnest money was non-refundable. He even signed an earnest money release agreement, which instructs title to immediately release his earnest money to us if he fails to perform. I mean, guys, this isn't our first rodeo. So he contracted the property with a 30-day closing. Then about a week later, Dave reaches out and says he needs to get into the property with his contractor and his agent. So even though we didn't have to oblige him because it was clearly stated that this was no inspection and sight unseen, we agreed. No problem, David, we're happy to help you start planning your rehab. So he does his site visit with his contractor and his agent and doesn't say a word. Then literally the day before closing, Davey Boy comes forward and claims that there are more problems with the property that somehow miraculously appeared that he didn't know about, and he even had the gumption to accuse us of intentionally not disclosing to him known issues about the property, and he threatened to not close the following day. Now that was the wrong approach to take with us, David Comstock. I mean, this guy must be up in the clouds. Wait a minute. Maybe that's why his company is called Cloud Investment Group. Anyways, our response was very professional, which was simply, may we remind you that in your contract you waived inspection and all contingencies, and that you agreed to buy this property in its as-is condition, sight unseen, and that your earnest money is non-refundable. Please perform per the contract or you will be in breach of contract and will suffer the repercussions, including forfeiting your earnest money. Well, Dave did not like that response, so he decided his best course of action was to turn belligerent. He started threatening us, accusing us of lying to him and misrepresenting the property. He started name calling and so on. All the while, we remained professional and firm. We did not resort to his middle school playground tactics, nor did we give in to his unsubstantiated threats and demands. I told Mark when this was going down that this is one of two things. It's either a strategic tactic to try and renegotiate a better deal, or it's a flipper who miscalculated his cost, got in over his head, and rather than take accountability, he's blaming the wholesaler. If this was strategic, then screw you, bro. Title released your $3,000 earnest money to us without hesitating. We made good with our seller, and we wholesaled to a real flipper who knows what he's doing for the same price, which proves it was an awesome deal and you're full of crap. Now, if he just screwed up and won't own it, then look, David, I've actually flipped 500 houses, and there have been times where I got into bad deals, but not once did I blame the wholesaler or the agent or whoever brought me the deal. I've always taken responsibility for my decisions and actions. Here's what you should have done, David, if you were man enough to own your mistakes. You should have said, hey guys, I screwed up here. I never should have agreed to this deal sight unseen, but I don't want to harm the seller or ruin my relationship with you. Please keep my earnest money for your trouble, and I hope you can find another buyer and it doesn't hurt the seller. Can we be good with each other and do future business? That I would have respected. In fact, David, we probably would have given you back your earnest money, but since you acted like a dick about it, screw you, we're keeping your earnest money. And by the way, David, bad-mouthing us around town holds no weight. We know all the buyers in Tulsa, and we have a really good reputation in town. Go back to Texas or wherever you're from, maybe your games work there, but not in our town. Now leave a comment and say, way to go, Jerry, you're a flipping genius. Side note, we found out later that this is actually a tactic he does, and other wholesalers we know have blacklisted him and won't do business with him, rightfully so. So how did we protect ourselves? Here's the lesson to learn from this experience. 1, make it clear in your communication. We have emails and texts stating it's sight unseen, no inspection, and non-refundable earnest money. Number 2, make sure your earnest money is significant. $3,000 in Tulsa is our minimum. It needs to be enough to hurt so it commits the buyer to perform or get compensated if he doesn't. Number 3, your assignment paperwork needs to clearly state that the earnest money is non-refundable. Number 4, and this is huge, we have an additional document that authorizes title to release the earnest money if the buyer doesn't perform. Now this is important because in some states it's required to get the buyer's consent to release the earnest money. I learned this the hard way when a buyer defaulted and I couldn't get the earnest money released to me. Okay, number 5 is always have backup offers. When this happened, we went back to the number 2 offer and we said, if you match his price, it's yours, which he did and closed in less than 48 hours, proving that it was actually a good deal because a legit real buyer bought it without hesitating. Now, I'll give you both my assignment agreement and my earnest money release agreement for free. Sorry, David Comstock, making it harder for you to play games and screw wholesalers and sellers. If you want the free download, go to wholesalercontracts.com. And real quick, shout out to my partner, Mark Gabriel. You handled this with professionalism. You're a first-class pro, and I'm proud of the reputation we've built in Tulsa. Now finally, speaking of scammers, I recently had a deal where I was the seller and the buyer tried to scam me. He ended up settling with me for $100,000. So watch that video now to learn all about it, and I'll see you on the next video.